Today, we step straight into the world as your horse actually sees it. In part 2, we break down what colors horses truly see, why their brains process motion faster than ours, and how some horses compete at the highest level with one eye, or even with no vision at all. This is the biology behind sensitivity, the science behind connection, and a completely new lens on how your horse interprets you and the world around them.
Dear Horse World, it's Dr. Dennis Brooks. There's a disease called congenital, meaning the horses are born with it. Stationary, meaning it never changes. They're born with it doesn't change. Night blindness.
Whoa. So horses are born, there are horses in the world that are born with night blindness.
Yeah, which ones do you think? You own one.
Oh, an Appaloosa.
Yeah, but not all Appaloosas,
Yeah.
just some of them, though. And it can be thoroughbreds, or you can be an odd case once in a while. But generally, their night vision is really good. So now back to colors.
Yeah.
Which colors have... See, colors are energy. So red, those are really low energy colors.
Hmm.
It's because of physics. I got my worst grades in physics. I can't explain it much better. Oh, I know chemistry was worse than physics. Anyway, but blue light is what penetrates darkness. If you think about it, if you've gone diving yourself, went underwater, as you get deeper and deeper, what's the last color you see before it goes black? It's blue. Because blue light penetrates.
Isn't it? I think it's also purple too, right? Is it purple?
Of course, but
blue and violet.
But only insects see UV light, which is purple, right? We're talking mammals here.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we'll see. Whose podcast is this anyway? No, but so blue. Yeah, it's amazing what you can see if you can see UV light. I mean, what the world looks like to the insects that have UV it's a lot different than us. With our limited stuff.
So horses can see blue?
They see blue and yellow.
And yellow.
And green.
And green.
Yeah.
And would that be, and I'm wondering, I mean, I didn't look this up, but is that because those are colors of things that are important to them? So like water.
Yes.
Is important. So blue recognition, color black.
I think it's darkness more for that rather than water. Horses need to see in the dark to see and so it's better for them to detect blue. Everything is about conservation. You know, Mother Nature's brilliant. You know, she designs things. She also bites though too. She got to be careful.
She does.
But so blue light would make more sense, and it would make sense for them to see red.
Right. There's no advantage.
That doesn't mean that some horses can't, but it's just we're talking in general of all species.
And what about when they... So we know now colors, and this is important for all of our listeners or watchers who jump horses over different colors.
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah, because... So let's talk about monocular and binocular vision.
Do we have to?
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating.
I think it's fascinating, too.
Well, here. If you take a high-level jumping horse, highest
Olympic level.
Yeah, sure. And they lose an eye for whatever.
Which there are horses at the top international level who have lost an eye.
And 90% of those horses can continue at the same level as when they still had two eyes. And there's theories about it. It's called monocular cueing, C-U-I-N-G, a cue, some cue like.
Yeah.
And there are things that horses are good at. I'm hardly an expert on this, but I mean, I have a little bit of knowledge, I guess. And so they look at shadows. Mm-hmm. They can tell depth from shadows or contrast. This whatever they're looking at is darker or not as dark as the area next to it. Mm-hmm. That's called a monocular cue. So it's not. So the depth perception of the horse, their ability to detect depth, from jumping in the air and then trying to land, is based not just on color, and it's not based on. They don't need both eyes to do it. Probably we don't either, but it's like we're binocular oriented.
So actually, it's interesting you say that.
Yeah.
Because there's a rider a show jumping rider that rides for Belgium called Niels Brunsels, who actually does not have the same vision in both eyes. Oh. And so when you watch him ride, he rides like this, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know that for a long time. And I knew him for a while, and I didn't know that until about like well into knowing him, and I was surprised. But I understood why.
Yeah.
Right. And he rides at the Olympic international level. He rides like this. Right.
Yeah.
And so, but okay, I want to try to connect the dots here because this is fascinating.
Yeah.
So, a horse can jump at an international level with one eye. Because, and I feel like just what you talked about with the optimal nerve.
Yeah, optic nerve.
Optic nerve, thank you.
Cosimus.
Optic nerve.
I like the optimal nerve better too.
Optic nerve.
Yeah, same thing. I didn't know.
Because the optic nerve is so large and it sends sensory information to the
visual
cortex. That also allows them to probably function, hyperfunction at a high level with one eye.
Absolutely.
With such crazy physical demands.
Yeah.
So cool.
So here's another story.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is. It's always a 12-year-old girl rider. And she had a jumping pony who was also world class. And had cataracts in both eyes. It was blind.
What?
I mean, it couldn't see anything. I mean, because they brought me and so anyway, so tell the story. So we had cataract surgery in one eye, and it went fine. And I was really nervous about that. If the horse could, or the pony could actually see what the girl was asking her to do, that it would fail, it would quit. I'm not going to jump over that thing. And but the first surgery went fine.
Yeah.
Kept winning.
Yeah.
Then we went and did the second surgery finally at second eye, and it had a few problems, but it ended up doing fine. You always have problems.
Yeah.
And that's maybe what I'm best at as far as doing complicated procedures is I know what to look for when things go bad, and they always go bad. There's the 10-day rule, which we can come back to if you want. The 10-day rule is if you do surgery and the horse with the eye's fine on day 9, don't get overconfident. You got to get through day 10 before you can relax a little bit. I don't know why that is. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
10-day rule.
The 10-day rule. Yeah. It's Anyway, it's true. So the horse was blind jumping. And the only thing I can figure, the rider. Here, it's the telepathy that horses have with the rider. It's the only thing I can figure. The horse knew, the rider saw the jump, the horse felt it. The rider saw that it was time to jump, the horse felt it and did it. That's the only thing I can figure.
Dennis, that's insane when you think about it.
Yeah, it is, but I get that from Mark Rashid, partly. Because he
Shout out to Mark.
Yeah, because, I mean, he knows that. He was the first person I ever heard talk about. I'm sure there's others Mark would share who taught him, because there were people that taught him some of this stuff. But how do you explain that? And to me, I call it telepathy. I don't know if Mark does or not, but it's like the horse felt it. The rider was cueing it without thinking about it. And it's mind-blowing.
Well, and then
I'm not so sure horses need to see. I know they need to see.
Well, because there's an Appaloosa called Endo the Blind.
Oh.
How you know that one?
Yeah, a little bit. Tell.
Famous on social media.
Yeah. Because
he has both eyes surgically removed, and she has verbally taught him.
Yep.
He's trained off of verbal cues. He can do everything. He can jump. Yeah. He can go on trail rides. He can load into a trailer. He can do all sorts of things. And he's not just blind. He has no eyes.
Yeah. Well, which probably means he doesn't feel pain anymore. He's probably a happier horse. I work with a horse named Valiant, owned by Jeanette Sassoon. And Valiant passed away. He lived to be 28, but he was being trained in dressage, and he was world class, gonna be.
Yeah.
And he got bilateral uveitis, and is a long story, but there's probably still some videos of him working that Jeanette put out, and when she would ride him, and some he couldn't see either, and he had no vision. When I told Jeanette that, she came to the University of Florida, brought him to the University of Florida, and I said, there's no electrical activity in his eyes. His retina's dead. His retina's just not going to work. And so her and her husband, Gary, they said, well, he's not lame. Let's train him. And so the horse learned verbal
cues
and the videos are scary because what I use the videos for of Valiant and Jeanette riding him is I'd start my lectures with these horse vets. I'd start the lectures with this video.
Oh wow!
I say, what's wrong? And it's 2 or 3 minutes of long, and he's got a good gait. It's fun to watch him, and then it stops, and then at the very end, it always made me laugh because Jeanette stops him and she waves to the camera. And then I said, "What's wrong?" I ask the audience, "What's wrong?" And they go, "Oh, he's blind in one eye." No, he's blind in both eyes. People, when she was actively riding him, some people would refuse to ride after her because they thought the judges would be biased towards the horse.
Wow.
But this is a number of years. Valiant passed away a number of years ago, but probably about 10 now. But he lived to be 28.
So, and this is a little outside of ophthalmology, but like horses also have what's the part of the brain that is responsible for all their spatial awareness?
Yeah,
and their ability.
I think it's the hippocampus, but I might be wrong. But the brain's really complicated. It's complicated and not complicated, but it processes a lot of information, whether it's visual. There's something though about the horse Valiant that I was talking about, and the pony that was jumping, and the blind. Horse had size there's something, but there's a connection there they have. I know people here in Florida that, let me back up a second. There's like a subculture of people that ride their horses when they're blind, continue to ride their horses. And I'm okay with that as long as I'm okay with it. Actually, my wife was a veterinarian, and one of her technicians has a blind horse, and he's safer that horse is safer to ride than some of our other horses that are visual. And I don't know. It's my job as a veterinarian just to tell people this isn't safe, but it's like, it is like, but I'm happy the horses don't get put down all the time.
I want to talk about how their eyesight flows into what they see and how they respond. Right?
Yeah.
And the difference between how their eyes work, because they see 2 images, whereas we see 1, right?
No, but they only see 1, but they choose to see 1.
Oh.
Even though, so do you and I. Most of the time, you and I are sitting here, you're only using 1 eye. You don't always know which one it is either, because they kind of shut off.
Okay, this is okay.
Yeah, are you right eye dominant or left eye dominant?
I have no idea.
If you had a telescope, which eye do you use? Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Most of the time, if you're right-handed, you're right eye dominant. I'm like the opposite. If you shot a rifle or something, if you aimed it, I used the left eye. I'm right-handed, so I should be right and right. So we don't know much about horses in that sense, but it's probably similar. And also, horses, our eyes are primates. Our eyes point forward. Horses are pointed like this, right? And so, you've seen the pictures of the diagrams where, the right eye goes over here, and then it goes all without them moving.
Yeah.
It goes back to
their.
Yeah.
You can see.
But that really only works when they're grazing, because they keep their eyes up. They get heads down and their eyes are up because they're looking for something.
And I remember reading about the evolution of horses, how they've evolved over,
a zillion years. Yeah.
It's the reason why there's such a long distance between the nose and the mouth and the eye is so that they can safely graze.
Yeah.
So that would have meant that the horses or the equus that had the longer distance would stay alive.
Yeah.
And the ones that didn't would be killed by predators.
Yeah.
So that's how they evolved with this long face.
That makes sense to me. But see, so they have tremendous peripheral vision. But just if their head is up and they're staring straight ahead, what
do they
what
see?
do they see?
Yeah.
And their brain is orienting them somehow. I mean, they have the potential to see everything, but they don't see everything. We all think that that's the case, but I think most neuroscientists don't feel that way. They have the potential to see back here, but they're not. They're probably only using one eye at a time.
Right. So, okay.
This is kind of complicated.
This is really cool because we're actually going to correlate it to some work that I saw and I did with Martin Black. But before we get there, I want to come back to the connection between equine ophthalmology and equine neuroscience.
Yes.
Okay. So horses have a very highly developed parietal lobe, meaning that their spatial awareness is off the charts.
Yeah.
Their brain is capable of processing vision from each eye separately, but at the same time.
Yes.
The equine hippocampus is highly developed, meaning that they are exceptional at judging emotions.
Emotions or motions?
Emotions.
Oh, God.
The hippocampus also controls memory and learning, meaning that they don't forget easily. Their parietal lobe is much faster at processing sensory information than us, meaning that their brains are like a supercharged GPS designed for navigation, which I've actually totally witnessed with my mare, Lady. She has she has unbelievable sense of direction.
Cool.
They have quick reflexes, and reading environmental cues is like part of their superpower.
Yes.
So I'm thinking of connecting what we've talked about how a horse at the international level can jump with one eye. And if they have a very highly developed parietal lobe, right?
Right.
Meaning that they would be able to perform at a physical level much higher than a one-eyed human athlete.
Absolutely. Yeah, makes sense.
And it sounds like with the hippocampus, they also have much more developed like information, like what they're getting through one eye in some ways is more sensory information than we'll ever get in two eyes.
It may not be as detailed for the horse, but it's surely got a bigger area, a bigger visual field that they can analyze changes in the visual field much faster than we can. It's not, we're not even close. And we know that from the anatomy.
Right.
Large nerves conduct electrical information faster than small nerves. We got a whole lot of little small optic nerve axons, and horses have huge. We have 1 million small ones. They have 700,000 big ones.
Wow.
And so we have a little bit better, but acuity, which is the ability to see detail, the 20/20 thing, horses are 20/35. That's not bad.
Wow.
Do you know what that means?
No.
Okay.
Explain that to me.
It's easier to explain 20/35 than 20/20. 20/35 means that a normal vision, you'd be you could be 35 feet away and see it, and an abnormal V, you'd have to be 20 feet closer.
Yeah.
So that's a horse. We're 20/20, meaning that we can be 20 feet away and still the vision would still see it.
Got it.
In focus.
Yeah.
And we're talking about focus. So 20/35 is you have to be closer to the object, whereas normal vision, you could be 35 feet and still be in focus. 20/35.
Oh, okay.
It's like backwards.
Right. Yeah. This is
Legally blind is 2200, meaning that a normal vision, you could be 200 feet away from an object and still see it. My vision, I have to be 20 feet away with my glasses off. See, I can see it, but it's out of focus. We're talking about being in focus.
So legally blind is 2200.
2200. 20, and it's a colon.
Yeah, because it's like 20/20, 20/100.
2200 is legally blind. Then you're required to wear eyeglasses.
Gotcha.
With my eyeglasses, I'm 20/25.
Gotcha. Okay. So horses are
20/35.
20/35.
Yeah, dogs are 20/75.
Wow.
Cats are a little bit worse than dogs. 100 or something like that.
Okay.
So horses have better detailed vision than we all thought. Now, how do you determine these things?
Yeah.
There's a way to do it electronically that
Okay.
don't require you to read the eye chart. In babies,
Yeah,
infants, they can do baby. They can tell what your acuity. This is called acuity, ability to see detail.
Yeah.
They can do. Physicians can do this in infants that are so young they can't read or they can't tell you what they're looking at or something, but they can tell by electrical means. You can do the same thing to horses. That's where you get 20/35.
Okay. Because everyone's going to say, listen to this, they're going to go, Dennis, how did you learn that? If a horse can't do an eye exam or say, read the top line.
Because there's ways to do electrophysiology.
Okay.
I don't know how to do them, but I know people that do.
So
you have to think about that. I know.
You do,
You
and
have
that's
to think,
okay.
Yeah.
What I was thinking about too was the fact that they can, and this is so important because a lot of this podcast is dedicated to the art of horsemanship.
Yep.
And people who have dedicated their lives to understanding either relationally or psychologically how horses think, feel, act, and then how we can understand that better in order to be better with them.
Right.
So when I understand how a horse's eye works and in correlation how their brain works, when we talk about their highly, like from a biological level, their ability to see very small changes in detail, like in very small changes in detail.
It's more like change in motion.
Yeah, in motion. Okay, so what I'm thinking of when you say that, and then when we read about the developed hippocampus, I think how your horse can read a shift in your facial changes.
Absolutely.
Right? Can see a slight shift they can probably recognize when you exhale versus when you inhale.
Yeah.
Right? They have biologically, they have the ability both on a neurological level and on a ophthalmological level.
Yeah.
That, to me, proves that if you've had a bad day and you're walking down the aisle and your horse pops their head out and they look at you with their left eye, they're going to go, oh, okay. I think so-and-so, I think you had a bad day.
It wouldn't surprise me at all that's the case. Their senses at some things are, their senses for details are better than ours.
Right. So they're going to notice all sorts of little things that we might, and this is the thing, is that in 2025, I think on a collective level, we're less observant because we're looking at screens. We have our faces in the digital world.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm guilty of that.
It's got to be true.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're not hunting. We're not gathering. There are so many things that don't require us to be as observant as we were before.
Yeah.
So not only are horses biologically more observant than us because from evolution they've been required to be more observant. Yeah. But now through societal norms and the way that we live and exist, there's an even bigger divide.
Oh yeah.
Between us in that way.
They're old school. We're not good enough to be old school, I guess, in some sense. But I do think you have to. You study their anatomy, and see how it correlates to behavior, and then, I see horses all the time that get brought to me for behavior issues. The owner's hoping that it's anatomy.
How often is it
it's probably the minority of the time. It's going to be something I can fix.
Through optimal.
Yeah, like maybe they have a cyst or they have a small cataract or they have a little. One of the things, one things I see now a lot of is floaters.
Floaters.
You know floaters?
No.
No, you're too young. What? Guess what? One of the strange age-related eye issues are what are called floaters.
Is that a thing that floats across your vision?
Oh, absolutely. Oh. Or they can. Do you know what Newton's cradle is?
No. Okay, before we get back into the conversation, I want to share something that has genuinely changed the way I feed my horses. One of my horses, Lady, who I talk a lot about on this podcast and who some of you know, is a sassy Appaloosa and a notoriously picky eater. She does not like feed with a lot of fillers or chemicals. She is sensitive in every way, including her skin, which has always made feeding her a careful process. She lets me know quickly when something does not agree with her. Finding a feed that she would eat consistently and that supports her overall well-being has mattered more to me than anything else. Total Equine by Total Feeds has been that feed. When I first tried Total Equine, I was super skeptical. It looks more like kibble than pellets, and I judged the look of it right away. Also, it's affordable. And as someone who's grown up deep in the competitive world of show jumping, I immediately interpret quality with price. Nothing in the horse world can be both good quality and affordable, right? Well, wrong. My horses have never looked better, and they love it. Thanks to important trace minerals like copper, zinc, and selenium, Lady's digestion is steadier than ever. Her weight is great, her coat quality improved measurably, and her top line has stayed intact, even with time off after our epic road trip across the country. That alone would have been enough to earn my trust. But that trust was tested in a big way when we took Lady and Galano across the country. Traveling over 25,000 miles with your horses demands consistency and nutritional integrity to balance the stress and demands of the road. Having a feed I could rely on no matter what made a huge difference. Total Equine kept both my horses nourished and settled through long hauls, new environments, and constant change. They are one of the only horse feeds in the industry to use Norwegian kelp, providing essential iodine, minerals, prebiotics, and thyroid support. I cannot say enough good things about Total Equine by Total Feeds. Developed by Dr. Harry Anderson, who I now consider a friend and ally in the fight for good horse care in this time of inflated prices and impossible economics in the horse world. I am careful about what I recommend, especially when it comes to nutrition. I've never spoken publicly about horse feed before, and I am proud to speak up now. Total Feeds has earned its place in my barn because it supports my horses in a way that is noticeable, measurable, and reliable. If you want to learn more about their approach to feeding, visit totalfeeds.com or pick up a bag at your local Tractor Supply. Hey listeners, just a quick break to tell you about something that might just save you time, stress, and a few vet bills. Inside NF Plus, our online streaming and learning library, we have an entire section dedicated to caring for your horse inside and out. It's a hub for informed, more proactive horse care that's taught by some of the best vets, farriers, saddle fitters, and professional grooms in the country. Think joint health, hoof care, stress reduction, saddle fit, everyday management, and more. These are the foundations that keep our horses sound, comfortable, and confident. Whether you're rehabbing your horse, fine-tuning their performance, or wanting to stay ahead of problems before they show up, we have the resources that could make all the difference. You'll learn how to spot issues early, understand how environment and body comfort shape behavior, and make confident decisions without feeling overwhelmed. And because you're a Dear Horse World listener, you get 15% off an annual NF Plus membership with the code DHW at checkout. Join the best in the horse world at noelfloydplus.com and start exploring the full Caring for Your Horse library today.
Do you know what Newton's cradle is?
No.
Well, you've seen it in a movie. Sir Isaac Newton, the physicist. I woke up one morning a year ago, and I saw something in my left eye, and if something moved and hit something which moved over here. Now, maybe Newton's cradle is, maybe you've seen a movie or something on somebody's desk in an office. The ball's hanging down from a little cradle, a little suspended. Do you know what I mean or not?
Yeah, I do.
It's called. I didn't know it was called Newton's cradle until I saw.
I didn't know that that's what it was called.
So I went to my ophthalmologist, who's a personal friend.
Yeah.
At this stage, and his name's Bob. And so that becomes important in a minute. So I'm his worst patient because I won't stand still to be getting light shown in my eyes. And he said, "You should hold still. I can't, Bob." Anyway, so the little things float. I had a little hole in my retina, and that was blood. So little blood clots. And one of them hit another one. I'd move my eye, and that's in the vitreous. That's behind the lens. So it's in the back of the eye. And so Bob says, "I'm upset." And he says, "You got a hole in your retina." I don't. "Well, no, that's not a good thing." Yeah. And he says, "When do you want to have surgery?" And I go, "How about right now?" "Okay, Bob, right now. Let's do it now." Anyway, it was a little hole. They fixed it, and I stuck. So I noticed after that I could see the floaters, and it was when it was bright outside. So the only way to get rid of it was irritating as heck. The only thing I could do about it was put on sunglasses, which helped him. So anyway, how does this affect my career?
Yeah.
When many times horses get brought to me because even though they're not necessarily older horses, maybe they're in their teens or whatever, but they've been bomb-proof. Nothing got these horses upset. They were perfect whenever they were performing or being asked to do something. And then all of a sudden, one day, they start overreacting. It's sudden behavior change.
Yep.
Sometimes dangerous, but not always. But just sometimes not good. So they brought me, and so I started looking at these horses, and a lot of them got huge floaters. I mean, not just a few little ones like me, massive floaters. And the horses can see them. And sometimes the light coming in, I've got pictures of where the light comes in and it hits the floaters and it casts shadows.
Oh, wow. That's
which the retina can pick up movement.
Yeah.
The horse eye is designed to detect motion. And about half of those horses, actually, there's several companies that make tinted goggles for horses. You must have seen.
I was going to ask you about them.
Yeah, I think they're really sexy, especially the yellow ones. I think the horses look, and some of the horses anyway, about half of the horses, it eliminates that behavior.
Okay.
Except only hunters can use them when they're performing. Competition, thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, so that's why they've been created, because I've only ever seen them on the market only very recently.
Yeah, you can even buy them on eBay.
And it's for horses that have floaters.
Well, I don't know why they were designed, but maybe that's it. But I just happen to see that. I think they were designed because people think they're sexy or something. But it helps about half of them, but it can at least get the horses back to being trained.
Gotcha.
At least half of them it responds. If it's, as I recall, it was around $200 or $250 or something. So it's a reasonable price to pay. And if it doesn't work, well, okay, they look good. But and I do this because my personal experience was the sunglasses. Basically, I'm putting sunglasses on horses, and sometimes it really helps a lot. Other times you find cysts inside the eye. You can rupture the cyst, and the horse is fine. But they're really sensitive to that. They're really sensitive to detecting motion. Their eyes are good at it.
Yeah.
And when the eye gets sick and there's something there that's not supposed to be, then the behavior changes.
So for everyone who's listening and watching this episode, what are sort of some things that they could look for in their own horses if they feel like, if their spidey senses are going, I feel like my horse's eyesight has changed, or my horse is behaving in such a way that I don't understand. They've never done it before. What could it be?
Well, here's how you think your way through that. The eye has proportionally more transparent tissue in it than any other tissue in the body. Transparent meaning clear.
Yeah.
So if anything that can cause cloudiness can affect the horse's sight. And some horses are real sensitive about it, and some aren't. So it's hard to predict. But if your horse is having sudden onset behavior change, poor reaction in situations where they had been that they'd been through 1,000 times, and then all of a sudden they refuse a jump, or they, I mean, just anything that could be like in that sense. Number one, you look at home, you look and see if the eyelash position on the upper lid.
Okay,
first just watch for anything, and hope you don't see it. But if you do, okay, that's something to look for.
The second one I noticed that you and Alberto have both done, where you've taken your iPhone with a flashlight and you've looked at the eye.
Just shine a light and see if
you see any cloudiness.
And and you may see it before and then call a vet and see and hope it's an ulcer or something like that can heal because you don't want to see, you need some help.
Yeah.
And it's something, it's not, sometimes it's still going to be a training problem, that the reason their behaviors change, but it may be something that is treatable. It gives you more information. I call it collecting data. That's what I do in my life. And you do too in your podcast. You're collecting information.
Yeah.
Collecting data. That's called science.
And is it true that if you have, as a horse owner or as someone who's looking after horses, if you have any concerns about your horse's eye, you should not feel reserved about taking action?
In fact, the sooner the better. It's like when a horse comes in, when I see a horse who's coming in for behavior change, I tell the owner, you don't want me to find anything. If I find something, it may be horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, they want to know, is it a vision problem or is it something else?
Gotcha.
And I had a horse recently that had the classic sign, it's got his eye, no evidence of eye pain. It's got his eyes open. Good horse, been good for years. And then all of a sudden starts acting like there's some problem on one side. I can't remember if it was right side or left side, but it was reacting differently, and it had a bad retina, which is, nothing you could do for that except the horse will probably get better. It'll adapt to the new vision. You just have to give it a chance.
They're amazingly adaptable.
Oh, yeah, thank God, I mean, eventually it doesn't become an issue for them. They have to accept the new normal. So you have to help them do it. And you have to, if you don't, they're going to know that you're not, because they react to.
Something you said to me when I brought Lady to your clinic was that really stuck with me, which was that horses are unbelievably good at masking pain.
Oh boy. A lot of times bad things happen and and the horse hides it from the owner. And so they don't see it. They don't know it might be treatable. They don't know there's an eye problem because the horse is really good. But
you said you've looked at uveitis cases and you're thinking this horse must be like in unbelievable amounts of pain and their eyes are like,
I mean, and Appaloosas are at the worst at hiding it, and not the worst, but it's more dramatic. It's dramatic. It's dramatic.
Yeah.
I mean, a horse that has active, painful eye disease, and when they're brought to me, they got their eyes wide open. Other breeds, they be squint.
Well, and that is and again, that's the evolutionary biology.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? In their DNA. They have evolved to not show pain, because if you show pain in the wild, then you get taken out by predators.
Or you lose your place in the herd.
Right.
I mean, I've seen this so many times. I don't, unless you have a herd of horses, not everybody does, But I saw this more than it is, and it's really it's disappointing. Why, hey, this is a nice horse. Now everybody thinks other horses won't let him eat or keeping him away, just because they can tell he's got a color change in his eye. They see it. You get him better, and his standing in the herd goes back up.
Wow.
That's like something you read in a book and you just think that never happens. But you do see it.
Yeah. That's like almost mythical, but that makes perfect from scientific sense.
Yeah, if an animal shows weakness in the wild, then other predators could potentially pick up.
And therefore, they are a liability to the herd. So
absolutely.
the herd will lower them down in their status.
Yep. You don't get to eat today.
So interesting. Okay.
Horses are amazing.
So now, before we wrap up, I really want to talk about one of the biggest differences between the way horses see and the way we see is that their eyes are on the side of their skull.
Yeah.
And so something that I observed at a Martin Black clinic and something that he talks a lot about when colt starting, and this was fascinating to me. I'd never ever thought about it. He says that when you're backing a horse for the first time, he said you want to be really thoughtful about when you change from one eye to the next eye. And this actually was part of this theme of when I was working with different cowboys on this road trip that we're on. And I noticed how often cowboys will talk about the eye. Where is the eye looking? Is the eye to you? Is the eye to you, therefore is the thought to you? So cool, right?
Yeah.
And so Martin talked a lot about this when you back a horse, and he was showing very specifically how you want to distribute your weight across. And in a lot of his colt starting clinics, if anyone who's listening or watching has seen or been lucky enough to witness or ride in one, Martin he uses lots of different ways in which those horses are started, and he does, and he has so much experience. I mean, he used to start 500 colts a year.
Ooh.
And so he talks about the importance of when there's a really vulnerable moment when you go, if you're let's say you're mounting from the left side, when you go from the left eye to the right eye. So this is when you lay across and you're distributing your weight across, because you're going to mount and you're going to sit in the saddle for maybe the first time or the first 10 times or whatever. And he says that's a moment where some horses might have a challenging time because it changes from the left eye to the right eye. Could you explain do you know how that is experienced for the horse from like a ophthalmological level?
I think it's got to do with the crossing over. What happens is there's a certain number of nerves that come out of each eye. And in you and me, only about 50% cross over and they actually cross back. So you do, but horses, it's like 75% of them cross over.
Really?
So there's a transition zone in there somewhere that most people never see. And I think that's what he's seeing. The crossing over, crossing over was first described by Sir Isaac Newton with the cradles,
Really?
Nobody to this day knows why that's an evolutionary advantage, the crossing over, and it has to do with, the eyes in horses are out, so there's more crossing over. You and me were like this, and so there's less, but nobody can explain that, and I can't explain it to you in this, but it probably, once again, that behavior probably is a result of anatomy.
Interesting.
Or just morphologists.
I love it.
I really can't explain it, but I think what your friend has found is that he's noticed that transition.
Yeah, well, if
it's definable.
Yes, that there's a moment that you have to be thoughtful of, and he says you have to minimize the fear response there, and you have to support them in a moment that could have a little bit of more heightened stress as you're transitioning over. Because not only are you transitioning from one eye to the other, you're also transitioning your weight. You're in a vulnerable position because you're putting your weight across a horse that's only had this is the first time, maybe this is the first handful of times that a horse has had weight on their back. So this is a vulnerable moment that needs to be supported and managed to the best of your abilities.
So we probably could test this theory somehow by observing birds, because they have 100% crossing over.
Do they?
But remember, it always crosses back.
Fascinating.
I know.
Because horses, I also notice that horses will, and I know there's research on this out there, as like their horses will look at something both eyes, right? Like this. And sometimes they'll look at, if your horse really well, you might notice a pattern of which side do they look at when they look at something scary.
Right.
So what's that about?
I think it's the same thing.
Same thing. Crossover.
when you have questions like that, the answers have to be simple.
Yes.
Because that's what Mother Nature does. They're not simple at all, but it's simplistic, might be a better word, because it's so complicated. I don't think we are smart enough to figure it out. I'm sure not. So you look at it, and so when we're having discussions about biology.
Yeah.
And in order to answer them, we have to know what the anatomy is, the microanatomy. And so I think it's got to be something to do with the crossing over.
Yeah.
But nobody knows why that happens.
Why there's crossover between the eyes?
Yeah.
No one knows why.
Nobody knows why. I mean, there's theories.
Yeah.
But nobody knows why.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's too complicated for us. And why do some animals, they all cross over?
So yeah, like you said, birds have 100% crossover.
Yeah.
What's an animal that has very little crossover?
I think us.
Yeah?
Yeah, 50% is about the minimum. I know. That's a good question. I could tell you were coming for that one.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I know. They're probably...
It's probably an animal maybe with less.
There probably is. There's always an exception. They're probably in Australia or New Zealand or somewhere just because who knows why, or Africa. So,
yeah.
Good stuff.
So good.
Yeah. I guess that for the people that are still awake and watching, if your horse has an eye problem, get to a vet fast. Don't wait. Don't wait till Friday to Monday can be a big difference. And yeah, the vets don't know. It's hard to get a vet on the weekend, I'm sure. Get them anyway.
And I think what's really empowering from this episode that I've certainly gleaned from it, especially having an Appaloosa who is going to statistically be at a higher risk of having eye issues as she gets older, is that horses are incredibly adaptable and they're evolutionarily and biologically far more gifted than sometimes I think we give them credit for.
What I've learned in my career is that I was taught initially that the horse eye, when it's injured, heals poorly, and it does not heal poorly. It has phenomenal healing capabilities, but it doesn't heal fast. So if your horse has a serious eye problem, the sooner you get started treating it, the sooner you're going to get it better. And it's what they do is sometimes just doesn't make sense to me as a biologist. Like, why is the horse doing that? Why? What was the advantage evolutionarily for this to happen, to be done this way? And it's like there's a lot of questions that way. But we have learned there's new eye problems in the horse.
Yeah.
What I didn't mention earlier was some of the older diseases don't respond to medicine like they used to. So if you've been in the business a long time and you initiate therapy or veterinarian initiates therapy, you should be paranoid.
Really?
Just watch them close. One of the hardest things in my job, seriously, and working with horses with eye problems, one of the hardest things is when to stop therapy.
Oh.
Because they hide things. They get better. They're better. But the disease is still there. And so if you stop therapy too quick, what I tell veterinarians is, when you think things are better, when the eyes looks good, treat them longer. You can decrease the frequency of them, instead of 4 times a day, give it twice a day or give it once a day. But just don't stop it real quick. Just be paranoid a little bit because the horse is hiding things. The horse wants to feel better. And people have written books on when to stop therapy. I always like it when a horse has a pretty serious eye problem and it's getting better, and the owner runs out of one of the different medicines and it's still better. And I go, doesn't need that one. Yeah. But that usually, and then the other thing too for the people watching, if your horse has diagnosed uveitis, in order to keep the vaccination itself from triggering a flare up, talk to your veterinarian and see what they advise. What I do is I put them on Banamine the day before, low dose, Banamine the day before vaccine, the day of vaccine, the day after. 3 days, that usually stops it. Yeah. But you probably should do that even when you're going to worm them.
Really?
Especially if your horse has got uveitis, only got one eye. You need to be paranoid.
Okay. I'm definitely taking that.
Yeah, I sure would. And if I didn't tell you that, then you can be mad at me or something, but it's just like,
No, I'm really glad you mentioned that. because-
that's a huge deal. And veterinarians know this, and you were trying to slowly get it out. But sometimes, people vaccinate their own horses. That's fine. They worm their own horses. But just if your horse has got uveitis,
Yeah.
talk to your vet and see what they think about pre-treating the horse before it gets vaccinated or wormed.
It sounds like and because that's what I've really learned is the correlation between my mare's immune system and the state or health of her eye.
Absolutely.
Because like what we talked about earlier in the podcast is that they're all connected.
They're all connected.
So tending to her immune system, which I'm doing both, like I'm using what you call traditional veterinary medicine to do that. And I'm also using holistic practices.
And I have people that do the traditional Chinese veterinary care. And I don't do that myself, but I send people to have it done because I know who the best people are. So, I can do it average. You come to... I want the best for your horse. You want the best for your horse. And so there are people that have different levels of expertise. Go to them.
Yes.
They want to help. Nobody wants blindness when it can be avoided.
So to wrap up every episode, I always ask every guest the same series of rapid fire questions.
Oh, good.
I'm very excited to hear yours.
Go for it.
Okay. If you could read one book to the horse world, what would it be?
Oh, God. There's Veterinary Ophthalmology for Horses. It's by Nicholas, and and he wrote it in 1914.
Cool.
You can still get it on eBay. A copy, not the real book, but this guy was a French cavalry veterinarian in World War I. So he was the first OG.
Wow.
He was the first goat.
I'm
Nicholas
ordering that book.
Yeah, if you have a little trouble, there's a French version. There's a French version with color drawings, and then there's a translated into English version with this black and white by a guy named Gray, Gray.
Who do you think is the most iconic horse in history?
A ruffian. Makes me cry every time I think of ruffian. What power. What a tragedy. Sorry, you asked.
No.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't be. That's really beautiful. Most undervalued skill as a horse owner?
Ooh. Patience. And I'm trying to learn that too. And I'm not very good at it. But you have to be patient.
I think patience is
probably every profession, isn't it?
A life pursuit. Who is the greatest horse practitioner or horse health mind in history?
Horse mind. Mark Rashid. He's probably in my mind. I mean, I met Carol Clark, who's a veterinarian in Ocala, Florida's right there with him.
And what she do?
She's an internal medicine. She's a veterinarian.
Cool.
Yeah. She's a nice person. She's like my sister. So we work together. So family.
Last question: mares, stallions, or geldings?
Oh, mares. I love mares.
Why?
Because they can make babies.
They make life.
They can make life. I don't know. That's a good question.
Dennis, this has been Dr. Dennis Brooks. This has been an amazing episode. I learned so much. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Yeti, for supporting us on this journey of a lifetime as we traverse the heart of the horse world.